Hello.
That
No,
was a really cool intro.
no errors. Oh, because I
Woohoo.
didn't do that. Oh gosh, yes, that's
It's all
me.
right, guys. All right. Welcome. While you're piling in, start telling us who you are, where you're from. We'll give it a few minutes. I'm excited about this. This is a good class. This is a
I,
class like I've never done before. So get ready, Heather.
I'm just glad no errors came popping through.
Yeah, no screaming dogs. I mean,
I did. I closed my door to keep mine out because yours go, mine will go. We'll just have like a whole dog party going on.
oh my gosh, you gotta love it going virtual. So, well, welcome, everyone. Hey, also drop in the comments while we're waiting for a few more people to come in. What are you excited to learn about? Savannah, I can't see who that is, but I have a guess it's going to be one of my favorite people up there. There's a couple of y'all.
And then I'm
Mary.
pretty sure Gainesville is Chris. Oh,
Oh,
there we
hey,
go. Here's
Chris.
some names.
Oh, look, there's Mike. We can see Mike. Good job letting StreamYard get your access so we can see your name. Kentucky, St. Augustine, Brooklyn in the
See ya.
house.
Yes.
That's
I'm over. I
awesome.
have the other one, so I can see. We've got Mackenzie and St. Augustine, Kim, and you're in Illinois and Kentucky. Is there like a line? You have one foot on one side, one on the other. Pretty close.
Awesome. Well, I am stoked for this class. Like I said, this is like nothing I have ever taught before. It's a little bit of some things that you guys will have seen in the past, but there's a lot of good new stuff. So welcome. I guess
Laura,
it's
Laura shows up. So there's
Laura.
like a link when you see the event that it's about to go, that it's created as an event. We're going to be going live at the very bottom. Should be a link to give StreamYard permissions to show your name and face. Otherwise, you're a secret agent, and we don't know until after the fact who it is. I have one stream going live, but it's also on YouTube. So usually it would show YouTube if you're watching over there, but the St. Augustine I couldn't find, so I'm not sure where she's watching.
Oh, hey, from Coconut Creek. Are you in my office? If you are, tell me your name because I just see Facebook user. Glad you're here.
Carol.
Loved your
I'm not going to attempt the last name.
That is perfect. Rhonda, love ya. All right, so South Africa. Hey.
Wow.
Cool. Love it. All right, guys, let's dive in. Let's get going. All right. So this is hands down the best version of my class I have ever taught on this. Thank you for being the first people to receive it. This was my quote unquote social farming class that I have rebranded, regrouped. If you don't know, I did extensive speaker training with someone who is one of 9 National Speaking Association individuals in the entire country. So that's really huge for me. And I'm excited to have you all be the first people I am sharing what I have learned with. So let's go. All right. If you don't know, as we said, where are you from? We like to do a little icebreaker. So thank you. If you're just now tuning in, please let us know where you're from. If you have not, sharing is caring. You never know. There might be someone on here that has a referral for you. So make sure to comment. Also, some little homework. If you find value in our group, just like you would find value in a YouTube channel, etc., please invite whomever, doesn't matter the brand, to our group. That is the greatest gift you could give us because it allows us to then go on and help more people. So invite your friends. Don't be a secret agent and no gatekeeping. All right, so let's just dive right in here. Let's talk about what we're going to learn. I am really excited for this. 4 success tips. This is everything we're going to encompass in this class. I created an acronym for it to make it a little easier and digestible. This will all be in the bonus handout that is a QR code that you'll scan, answer a few questions, and get towards the end of this presentation. And it is literally a guide to help you get to work and implement what we are learning today. So the 4 lasting social success tips. The first one we're going to go over is laying your foundation for social media. The second one is articulate your social strategy, because if anyone already follows me on social media, it is all by design. I'd say 97% of what I post is by design. And then how to sculpt captivating content and how to tune into any and all best practices for social media, because we have seen some fails and we've seen some fires and we've seen massive success. So it's just rule of thumbs, right? All right. If you are ready to get going, I want to see some emojis or some comments. So keep popping it up. This is going to be a highly engageable class. I'm going to make you talk in regards of comments. So let's go. We just talked about the bonus action plan. I'm really excited for this bonus action plan because, first of all, I wish I had one when I was like experimenting and doing this and trying to figure it out. This is literally going to take every single item that we go over in this class. It's on a PDF that's downloadable, printable, it's colorful, it is vibrant. It will help you get those wheels turning and that neuroelasticity just going, because there is science behind creativity, and we will talk about that. Okay, so number 1, laying our foundation. In order to lay the foundation for your social media success, you have to understand your motivation first and foremost. You have to have an understanding so you can have a clear, and that's the key word, clear goal or goals in order to maintain your focus and drive meaningful engagement to your social media. And what I mean by meaningful is engagement that will turn into loyal fan base, turn into business, and will make your insights beautiful. So I like your face, Heather. You're just like, oh my gosh.
Well, I'm like, I don't even have the first rule of thumb down pat yet. I just post whatever's going on in my life at the moment. If it happens to be a week from now, or I don't know.
Yeah, no, and I used to be like that. So it's funny you say that, because I did the Start with a Win podcast with Adam Contos. Gosh, that was pre-COVID, so years ago now. And I wholeheartedly back then said on the podcast, I am an emotional poster, and that's what I call it. Whatever I feel like posting, I post, and if I strike gold, I strike gold, right? If I don't, I don't. And then somewhere along the line, I turned it into a system, and I started seeing better results and a higher success rate for my business. And for those of you who do not know, 90% of my business comes from social media. I make money off of every single thing I post on Facebook and Instagram. Mind blowing, right? We're not talking like buku bucks, because you have to have millions of views in order to get that $10,000 rolling in or something like that. But it's enough to like have a nice little surprise in my bank account. So why not? All right.
I think I might be able to go to the dollar menu. Oh wait, that doesn't even exist anymore. But I'd be happy if I could get over $35. I think is what I get.
I agree. I'm trying to turn that off. Sorry, let's turn this off. Okay, that's better. No, yeah, I agree. Why not? If it pays for my Starbucks that I was going to get anyways, I'm okay with that. So why do you want to do social media? And I think it's important to dive deep. I am not a fan of surface level questions or answers at all. If you've worked with me, like Carol is starting to work with me, that's tuning in. I ask you why. And then when you give me your answer, I ask you why again, because there's layers, right? Your social media and your persona on social media is like lasagna, right? You just want to layer it and layer it and layer it and layer it, because after all, we're complex creatures, right?
I just made lasagna for the first time 2 weeks ago, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I had no idea the amount
of layers, right?
I had no idea how much sauce was in there. I was like, what in the world?
It was a lot of work. So I'm all about layering upon layers. So, what are some questions that you can ask yourself when you're trying to formulate your foundation? What are your objectives? And we're going to go over this. Goals are different than objectives. Does this reason spark joy? You're not going to see me come on social media and put a video out there for one of our listings that is not true to who we are. And I think that that is the beauty of it, is when you can create something magical where it gives someone a laugh or insight or helps them understand something deeper. And then when they take that online content that they saw, when they see you in real life and they have a genuine conversation about it, that is meaningful and that's powerful. That's how you create a walking, talking billboard for your business. What resources do I have? I'm going to be completely transparent. When I started social media, I did it because it was free. Zillow was very expensive. I was paying like $500 at the month, which now seems like chump change, to be in the top 3 of a zip code of my area. And I'm in Southeast Florida. If anyone wants to know price-wise, Zillow gets a little pricey. So I was like, well, social's free. Let's try that. And it worked. It genuinely worked. Am I being authentic? I think a lot of us have been here at some point where we fall in the comparison rabbit hole, where we look at someone that we aspire to be like and their social media, and then we just try and mimic them. There's a place for inspiration, but you will never be that person. And that was something I had to figure out, because it doesn't feel genuine. It doesn't feel authentic. And once you can break through that noise within yourself to find your authenticity, all bets are off. It will flow. It will be magical. It's just cutting through that noise to get there. And what makes me unique? I love plants. I love dogs. I love to put my husband on social media and see how long it'll take for him to find out what I posted about him. I find it really entertaining. And how do you break free of your fears and limitations? That's another huge one, because we all have them within us. But once you can cut through that noise, it is really powerful and impactful. So as we're going along and we're moving through this, if anyone has any questions or comments or insights, or you're just loving what you hear, put it in the comments, because I can see it. And then I will try and incorporate your question or comment into our learning session today. So before we really get tuned in, hey, Heather, I want you to know I made this bar graph all by myself. Are you really proud of me?
It's interesting showing that. I always look at not the popular, I want to see where my traffic is coming from to my websites, right? But it was crazy because it used to be like Facebook and Pinterest was always my top 3. It was kind of like the secret to pinning on my blogs and stuff. And YouTube is now taking that place, which made me realize, okay, it's not just a place I put my videos that go into my blog or whatnot. Like, it's those videos are being found on the platform itself and now driving traffic to my site. So I've definitely been paying more attention to that part, and stories, and on Instagram, even that's on
Stories
there.
are huge.
Not sure how, when you can put that link to your website, whatever it may be, like for a blog or something. So I do those every month, and it's always interesting to see how things slowly evolve on that side.
And I think that's great. So everyone, write that down. If you have the ability to write down, not only do you want to know what platforms have the most monthly users, but you also want to know where your engagement is coming from. Because I can't tell you how many times I have sat across from an agent in a one-on-one and they have said, I want to get great on Instagram. And I say, okay, perfect. How often are you posting on Instagram? I don't have an Instagram account. I said, so where do you spend your time on social media? Facebook. So we're going to start with Facebook. We're not going to start with Instagram, because that's where you're already living in your social media world. So it doesn't make sense to recreate a wheel when you already have a wheel established. You just might need a new tire, right? So this chart is as up to date as it can be. This is 2023 stats, and this is monthly users per millions. So as you can see, if you have any social media influencers out there, coach, trainer, whomever in the world, telling you Facebook is still not number one, they clearly did not look at their stats. And I'm going to tell you why. Facebook is extremely difficult to go viral on. Instagram is getting very tight now as well. And I'll give you a little secret tip on this. So just tune in real quick. The narrower you go with Instagram and the more niche you are, the better it knows where to file your post. And I am guilty of this. So I have figured out this hack that other people have as well. And what I've realized in the last few months, because I lost my entire Instagram algorithm, lost it. I ghosted the platform, did not post for months, and I completely crushed it. What I realized is when people go super, super niche, as in, I'm going to use this as an example. My best friend's niece from childhood has a hot pink, like pearly metallic Mustang convertible. Every single post is this car. She doesn't even show her face. It's called a faceless account. It is also another way to go really ham and get a lot of traction on Instagram right now. It's just her and this car. And we're talking because it's so uniform, Instagram knows where to file her and where to get her in regards to engagement, that she's getting 200,000 plus likes. Just think about that, 200,000 plus likes. She doesn't have 1 million followers. She doesn't have 100,000 followers, but it knows where to put her in the algorithm because it's so consistent. So if you want to go really hard on Instagram, double down, and everything has to be repetitive to the point where it's mundane. And I promise you it should work. And if it doesn't, come back and talk to me and we'll regroup.
You'll have to let me know that channel because my daughter wants to go viral
She'll go
with her
ham over it. I'll
But
send you
she's
her
always
info.
deleting all of her content. I don't understand that.
I
So
don't
I'll show like followers and no posts because they keep, I don't know what is up with that. I don't understand that. She's always done that.
Yeah. So, and also keep in mind, there are some things that are going into effect with TikTok. They voted on TikTok in the Senate. I'm not going to get political other than be mindful when you're trying to build out on a platform, because now we are noticing that we have to be cognizant of, will a platform become MySpace all over again? Will a platform just not work in a morning we wake up? So how are you also using this platform to then pull people off of it and maybe get an email list or some type of other database or a platform or a community that's separate from there? So just beware. And I also want to say this one last thing before we move on is, do not compare yourself. If you follow someone on TikTok and they have like 2 million followers, look at their Instagram and then look at their Facebook. I'm willing to put money on it because every account I have found like this, they never have the same amount of followers on every single platform. They have their main platform where they have the bulk of their followers, and all the other platforms have less. It's just how it works. Now, if you're Kim Kardashian or Beyonce or someone like that, maybe you get a little closer, but there's always that main platform and then the other ones have less. So do not allow yourself to fall in that negative belief that you're not worthy or you're not good enough because you don't have as many followers on Facebook as you do on TikTok or Instagram, or vice versa. So
And the algorithms are different. I remember a speaker, and she's heavy real estate on TikTok.
Yeah.
And she says if she puts that same video on Instagram, even through the Instagram, it doesn't have the same reach, popularity, or anything. She has to do things a little differently when she's posting to Instagram because Instagram doesn't like whatever she's putting out on TikTok, which works for her over there. But so it is interesting how the different algorithms
Yeah.
factor in when you're doing the same sort of post.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm actually building this entire class out onto an in-depth learning module, and you will be able to pre-register to get the notification when it goes live at the end of this class. And it'll also be in your bonus, a QR code to scan for it. And that's one thing that I plan to dive in and talk about, because it's really important for people to understand that if you go to my account, so all of my real estate branded stuff is Breeze to Keys. Like there's a Breeze outside, if you don't know. So Breeze, T-O, and then Keys. My TikTok is completely different in regards to I am more flexible and will post things on TikTok I will not post on other platforms because of the algorithm and because of the traffic. Now, my listing videos on TikTok will get 20,000 views. My listing videos on Facebook, the last one we did had 4,600 views. However, that video allowed my account to reach a new high level of I reached over 40,000 Facebook accounts in 28 days because of that video. So it's not necessarily about the views, but it's about the reach too. And we're going to talk about why tracking your insights is vital. Okay, escape it. It sounds really weird, right? I just made this one up yesterday. I'm really excited for it. So this is another acronym that we're going to dive in. And this is really important with laying your foundation. So escape it is going to give you all of your content, this acronym. It is an idea of creating content that transports your audience away from their daily routine by offering them a mix of learning, inspiration, entertainment, and engagement. So each element of this acronym represents a crucial aspect of engaging social media content that can help you establish a strong connection. So how are you supposed to establish a strong connection if you are not consciously aware of the genre of your content and how it leans towards? And we're going to talk about how to self-discover some of that stuff. So here's what it means. It's a lot, but it works. These are definitely interchangeable. You can be educational. You can do storytelling. I do a lot of storytelling because I find it fun to get people to read again. So I like microblogging. Conversational is really impactful. Authoritative is not like angry like you may think it is. It's more of like, this is my world. I know what I'm talking about. Here are the facts, and I just want to share it. If you follow people on TikTok or on Reels, you will see every once in a while you come across someone who is maybe a PhD or an accountant or something, and they have more of this authoritative vibe where it's not nasty or mean or anything like that. It's just that they're strong in what they know. Persuasive. Maybe you're trying to convince them to buy like a 1980s house that has pink carpet and pears and apple wallpaper in the kitchen. I mean,
Oh, what a flashback that was to my childhood, Brie.
You know how many people said they had that wallpaper in my video? That's crazy.
I think I had the couch. My mom loves mauve, so we had the mauve carpet. We had the mirrored, walls. My grandmother's house, and she was an agent, so every one of her houses had that mirrored wall. Oh my gosh!
Oh
it
my
was
gosh,
like
they're awful.
such flashbacks. It's probably why I hate the color pink and would never wear it, because that was like my house growing up with everything.
Too much of it. That's great. You can be entertaining. You can be inquisitive. If you are a friend with me, I have a lot of questions. I have genuinely a lot of questions. And transformational, I chose that word over inspiring or something like that, because I think transformational can encompass a lot of different things. It can encompass how to be aspirational, inspirational, and all of the above. So if you receive this and you hear what I'm telling you on this slide, I want to comment. I want one of you guys, all of you guys, everyone watching, comment one of these genres for social media content that you think that you could incorporate today in your post. What is one thing that you know wholeheartedly you can get off this presentation and you can go find something in your your camera roll or something you have going on in your day or anything and post on social media in this genre? So let me know. Storytelling. I love it. That's a huge one. I do a ton of storytelling. More educate. Yeah, you do need more educational videos, girl. You are the queen of that. I also want to make one note on this, that these are interchangeable. So you can do a storytelling concept and post that's also educational. You can do a storytelling post that's also transformational. So you can interchange these, but I want you to use this as your baseline, because having a visual is extremely helpful, especially when you're having a creative block, because those are real. Love this. You guys are incredible. I also want you to push your boundaries of one that's kind of scary for you and start marinating on it. Maybe persuasive is scary. Yeah, good. Look at that. Love it. All right. We're on our second letter, everyone. Woohoo! Articulate your social strategy. This is where we're really going to dive into all this fun stuff. So define what you want to achieve. And I wholeheartedly mean that. Now, what you want to achieve now with your social media content is not what you're going to want to achieve in a year from now. Maybe not even what you want to achieve in 6 months from now, because you're going to crush that goal and you're going to move forward. So this is something that's very fluid, and don't feel like what your goal is and what you want to achieve now is going to be like that forever. It's not. Give it some flexibility and allow it to just flow. Are you seeking brand awareness? Are you seeking lead generation? Do you want to get paid from Facebook for posting? Understand your audience as well by getting to know them. And we're going to talk more about that as well. So goals and objectives. How are we going to achieve this? I told y'all goals are different from objectives. So goals to me are very broad. They're overall outcomes you want to achieve with your social media presence. Like we said before, maybe it's getting brand awareness. Maybe you want to drive more traffic to your website. And an objective, in my humble opinion, are more specific and measurable steps that you will take to achieve your goals. So when you hear someone talk about SMART goals, I feel like it's SMART objectives that feed into a goal, right? So when you're looking at your objective, it should follow the SMART criteria of being specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Listen, thank goodness I have Kenny in life, because he understands that if I do not put a deadline on something, it will just linger in the universe forever. So him and our real estate coach, I love her, have forced me to put time-bound hard deadlines on items to get stuff done, and it works. So
now I know the trick, okay? I got to put that in my notes now.
No, for real. And Heather's really good because we've been building out this Your Creative Hustle concept together. She just like throws stuff at me and I'm like, but I'm not ready to swim yet. I don't like this. But then I do it because I have to. And I'm like, all right, good job, Heather. Good job.
Now I know to put a deadline.
Yeah, literally. I need it. And
I have to be the other Kenny in your life.
You do. I couldn't do it without y'all, that's for sure. And Trello has been a huge helpful for anyone who needs help organizing these things. Trello, Heather and I use Trello. Kenny has me using Trello as well on other things. And then for me, I also took the plunge and I invested in Motion, which is an AI generated task and calendar thing that syncs with my phone. So it tells me of all of my tasks I have to do. So maybe I just have to give you access to that and you can put stuff in too, Heather. I don't know. We'll talk about it. So be deliberate and plan. You guys probably do not know this, but I would say there's a 97% strategy on when I post. And of that 97%, 90 of it is deliberate and already planned and well thought out. So that's my secret sauce right there.
And is that on your personal or business?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I have a post that you guys test this. And I'm telling you right now, I had a post that I scheduled from a photo that I took on Monday that will go out tomorrow morning. So when you see that go out tomorrow morning, you'll know. And this is why we're going to talk a little bit later about how to do this. And I really dive into the steps in the class that I'm building out for y'all is I switched my account, and you're going to want to switch your account. So you have the ability to have these insights, because if you just have like the old school regular Facebook account, you don't have insights. So align with your business goals when you're doing this. My business goals is my strongest pillar in my business is social media. So that's why I lean on this. We are just now building out other pillars to my little stool legs that are not social media. Conduct a social media audit. What I mean by that is start being consciously aware of where you spend your time on social media. What are you most likely to watch until the end or read until the end? I find it really interesting when I do a post, and I call them microblogs. And I know when someone comments and they didn't read until the end, because I usually have something really powerful at the end of those microblogs. And I just find it interesting to see for myself for where I need to kind of like pull them in more to keep them till the end, or is it their personality where it's just a lot? So you'll even see I visually construct my posts differently than other people do to try and help the eyes, because our eyes scan right to left. In other cultures, it's a little bit different because it depends on their alphabet, right? They read differently. And yeah, I do whatever I can do to take that anxious anxiety of looking at something. Like, for instance, you walk into your kid's room and it's messy and you're like, ugh, it's just a lot. I can't look at that, right? But when you look at something that's clean, you have this emotional state that you're not even aware of, where you're like, oh, this is nice. So your content can have that same effect, as well as how you construct your verbiage for your content. So do an audit, start paying attention. Pay attention when you're scrolling through, like, oh my gosh, the way that post is structured with the verbiage, I can't read it. It's too much. It hurts my eyes. Or do you lean in and actually read it? Set realistic timeframes. I set goals. So within our real estate team, we have team goals and timelines, and then we have individual goals and timelines. Last year, mine was to lean into more reels and more videos, because I did take video boot camp in 2019 or 20. Yeah, it was 2019, and then did nothing with it. So I know, I know. Michael Thorne said the same thing. He's like, what took you so long? I was like, I had to marinate, Michael. I had to marinate.
And I've done it at least 4 times.
It's huge.
But I feel every time I took it, I was at a different place.
Right.
So I absorbed different information.
Yeah. And
time.
Heather and I just did a video course with Karen Carr. She spells her name Karin, and Carr is Carr. Find her YouTube. Find that woman's YouTube. She is phenomenal. Definitely recommend tuning into her. Also, incorporate learning and innovation into your strategy, because learning, the more, what do we say? The more you learn, the more you earn. This is a completely different phase of real estate than it was even 10 years ago. I started in 2008 as a receptionist for a Remax office. This is a totally different market than it was back then. So you have to adapt, and you have to be willing to put yourself out there to lead gen. Newspapers aren't like what they used to be. Mailers aren't always what they used to be. So social media is free for the most part. And continuously review and adapt. It's interesting because I like Facebook for the sole fact of memories. So when I go back even 3 years ago and I see how I used to construct my posts, or even, oh my gosh, you remember back in the day when you tell everyone like, oh, I'm here eating a sandwich and watching a movie like from like 2006 or 7, if you were on Facebook back then. Yeah, I can't believe that's what we used to do.
I did that last night. I'm just kidding. I do. If I have something good, I post, but it's not about really what I'm eating. It's more to tag that location to let people know more of like a local thing. I
think that's great. And sometimes those businesses will respond, which is really wonderful too. So Put in the comments. Let me know. I'm making y'all work again. Let me know what is something that, based on this list, you think you want to improve on, that you're going to put in motion when you tune off of this and you get to work with your bonus plan and you start diving in. Are you going to align your business goals? Are you going to conduct an audit? Are you going to set time frames? Are you going to start learning and innovating more? Or are you just going to take the system you already have, review it, and see how you can adapt it? Tell me what you're going to do and go. Kidding. So the last part of this is how to think like a follower. Now, if you took my social farming class, you may remember I used to have an entire section that was about thinking like a follower. Look at that, learning and innovating, review and adapt. Ah, I love this, guys. This is huge. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So proud of y'all. So think like a follower is really important in the essence that you have to understand your demographics. You have to understand your audience, because Heather's audience is different than my audience. We might have some crossover, but it's still different because she is different than I am. She likes Jeeps and going out in the mud and stuff. I like shopping. And
I kill every plant. So I have they're fake ones. That's about all. That's the only ones that don't die.
For you though, it's called a resurrection plant. They're impossible to kill. It's really great.
I don't know. I'm willing to bet on that one.
I don't know. I'll have to get
Just
you one.
let me have it. I sing to it. I do everything I think I'm supposed to, and then they still die.
That's great. So when you're thinking like a follower, you have to craft your social media strategy to put yourself in your audience shoes, to understand their needs, their preferences, and behaviors. Hands down, write this down, y'all. My favorite author right now is Donald Miller. My favorite book he has right now is Story Branding. Story branding will ruin every single commercial and every single movie for you. It's so crazy how I was watching some all commercial the other day and I was like, I jumped up out of bed and I told Kenny, I was like, oh my gosh, I get what they did in that commercial. And he looked at me like, what is wrong with you? Like, it was like, no. Because Ramsey and I are keeping each other accountable with building out our story brands. I was like, that's a story brand. They literally introduced exactly what Donald Miller teaches in his book, Story Brand, and the entire framework of the commercial. Mind blowing. So it's important for you to think like a follower because you have to understand their needs, their preferences, and their behavior. It's not about us. It's about them. We are the guide to our followers to get them to buy into us. So I like to shorten this with TLF. And so TLF can significantly enhance the relevance and impact of your content by resonating, keyword is resonating, on a deeper level with your audience by fostering engagement and helping to build a loyal community around your brand and personal profile, which is very impactful and rewarding. I cannot tell you how many times I just feel empowered when I take something that I have done on social media and someone remembers, because think about how much stuff we see and we scroll past on a daily basis. And then they have something in them to tell me about it in real life or text me about it or just say, hey, thank you. I saw that. I felt seen and heard. So I have no problem being super vulnerable on social media. And the reason why I have no problem doing it is because of the feedback I received. And it's very, very powerful. So when someone tells me like, thank you for saying that because I never had the courage to say it myself, I'm like, whew, all right. Well, I just built a community. You don't have to be as vulnerable as I am to build a community, but the whole intent and purpose of this is to have you build a community somehow, some way. All right. So homework again. Think like a follower. What do you like to engage with? Give me one thing that you like to engage with. Do you watch plant videos? Do you watch car videos? Do you like to read blogs? What is it that you're engaged with? If it's quick, like don't overthink it. I just want you to put something in there because that's something that you're going to put in your comment section to us is what I want you to start being aware of. Jeep rock climbing, 100%. Girl, that is totally your brand. I can't not look at Jeeps and not think of you. Even the little ducks. I almost sent you like this duck thing that came across my feed the other day. I was like, that's so Heather. Every time I see a Jeep now, I think of you. Puppies, love puppies. Oh my gosh, I want all the dogs. Kenny won't let me get any more. Let's see. Cooking videos. Cooking videos are huge. You could be like, there's so much you could do with that. There's two funny people I watch that have cooking videos. This one guy does all like the vintage cookbooks that he finds at like Goodwill and stuff. I don't remember his name, but I absolutely love him. Volunteering is huge. You're the agent that cares. Pets, gardens, exercise, crafts, sublimation. Sorry about that. Tongue-tied there. Dollar Tree deals. That's what I'm talking about. Do you know that like some of these people are really crafty for stuff from the Dollar Tree? There's apparently an entire Facebook group on it. I was mesmerized. That was a rabbit hole. So good job, guys. All right, here is our third letter in all of this. Sculpting or sculpt your captivating content. Now, all of those comments that you just gave us, that's what you're going to start. I want you to start thinking. You told me Dollar Tree deals. You told me pets and gardens. You said volunteering. How are you going to sculpt captivating content around what you just told me? So let's dive in and start figuring that out. You're going to explore it and experiment with different types of content. Do you want to do a microblog post? Do you want to share a photo? Photos go a long way versus just words. If you look, I can't tell you the last time I had a post that was just words. There's always a photo to accompany it because it's a visual buy-in, right? Clear, crisp photos. Your cell phones are really powerful. You can take some phenomenal photos with it. Subscribe to the psychology. This is huge. These two steps right here are also my secret sauce. Subscribe to the psychology and the scientific process of creativity. It is a legit thing. You can Google it. I'm even going to break down the steps in the next slide or two about the process of creativity. I didn't make it up. I just found it. Your content will tell your story, whatever that story is. Maybe it's how you volunteer. Maybe it's how you just want all of the animals. I want all of the animals so much so that my husband's family, who lives in another country, calls me Snow White. And it's not because I'm pasty. It is because I don't like killing anything that is alive. I just want
I remember a few videos of saving lizards or...
Yeah, I just got an iguana out of the back. I literally had to get a towel because he was like this and was pretending to be dead. And the dog scared him. He fell off the fence in the yard. So I was like, he could have salmonella, and I just really don't want to deal with that today. So instead of picking him up with my bare hands like I do sometimes, I got a towel, picked him up, put him outside. And then I saw a frog on the way to outside. So then I had to get the frog out of the yard. It was a whole thing. So welcome to Florida. Yeah, so this will help you build your community. Now, the steps of creativity. Yay, science. I love science. It's like, I wish more people tell you to post, right? People tell you to do things, but they don't like give you like the lasagna layers under it. And like, that's what gets me is like, if I have always, even as a child, been that person of like, my mom will say, well, go sit down. And I'm like, but why? Like, I need to know the layers underneath the answer in order for me to process and be like, oh, that makes sense, you know? So I have seen some of you go through this. Rhonda, raise your hand. Rhonda, you are my prime example for this if you're still on. I have watched this woman take her creativity over the years and grow exponentially. She literally took every single one of these steps and implemented them. So I must be boring. I have nothing. You know what? You're not. Before I dive into this, Rhonda, hold on. I saw that comment. You are not boring. That is an entire content creation post there about having nothing to post about. I'm saying that could be really interesting and intriguing and actually quite deep. So marinate on that. That could be something. All right. So the steps of creativity, preparation is number one. So when I say preparation, that means you're curious. I can't see who said I must be boring. I have nothing, but let's use that as an example. And again, Rhonda went through all of this and I saw her do it. You're curious. You're like, oh, this is kind of cool. I can have a social media presence. I can make powerful posts. Great. Then it's incubation. That's where your imagination starts to kick in. You start to think what and how and why. So I'm going to tell you another secret. It's really not a secret. You can Google it. When you have creativity, it's one of those very few things in life you will never run out of. So for the person who might be struggling with trying to come up with what you want to post about, I want you to just remember this. You're creating new neural pathways, and that takes time. So this is where the incubation really comes in and your imagination has to kick in and it really has to start, I call it marination, right? So once you start building in your brain these new neural pathways, because that's what creativity is a brand new neural pathway around something, you will never run out. Scientifically speaking, they say when you learn something new, you create a new wrinkle in your brain. So if they've ever taken apart, everything at the end of it and look at it all, it's a measure of what you know to a certain extent, right? There's other factors that can play in of other complex things, but that is one thing that they will notice. So I encourage you to allow whatever your incubation period to be. Just constantly look at things because at some point you're going to have an aha moment and that's going to be your insight. And that aha moment is going to be like, oh my gosh, that's such a brilliant idea. How am I going to make this work and how am I going to create it? And it will come so much so that once you've trained your brain to have this creativity in the forefront, someone like Heather and I will have conversations. It'll be like, oh my gosh, I have an idea. And it has absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking about creatively. But because she said something really powerful and impactful, a light bulb went off in my head. And then I had an idea for something else, creativity. It's like the car concept. And I use this analogy time and time again, right? You're going to buy a blue Mustang, right? Because Heather just got a really pretty white one. So you go to buy a bright blue Mustang. You don't notice them on the road until you start actively shopping for that blue Mustang. And then they're everywhere. Creativity is the same way and same concept. You don't know it's there until you start actively looking for it and you dial in more. So it will come. And once it comes, that aha goes off and you're like, I think I'm going to do this. And then you start questioning, can I, how can I, and this and that, blah, 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 blah. So in this other Facebook group we have, I have watched people take really nice general graphics that people will put in there and just use it in their social media. And then they take it a step further once they have a little bit more comfort behind it. And they'll put like their own logo or their own branding on it, right? And then they put that out into the world. And then from there, they say, you know what? I have this idea. I think I want to make my own graphic. So then they sign up for a Canva account and they use the free add-ons on Canva and they create their own one-of-a-kind piece for their listing or whatever it is. And then they put that out there. And then they decide to pay for Canva. And then they really start to dive in and go full force of creating wonderful one-of-a-kind marketing pieces that's authentic and true to themselves, because it's not just about selling and buying houses now for clients. It's also about being a great marketer because, and write this down, the best marketer always gets the listing. Best marketer always gets the listing, hands down. You also want to elaborate. You can elaboration, I call it, where you actually decide to get up and do the activity. So those are my steps for creativity. And they're not really mine, they're sciences, but I've kind of dubbed them for this. There's no one else teaching these right now in our industry. So
I know when I am watching just TV and you see a commercial, like that is where it's crazy because fonts and colors and designs and, the B-roll and how things are put together. Like my husband would be like, oh, did you see that? Like, we got to check this out. And I'm like still stuck on 2 commercials ago, the way that, the blue hit the orange or the yellow and the outline and the fonts. And I'm like, I have no idea. And he's like, but you're staring at the TV. What are you talking about? And I'm like,
doesn't mean
my brain is 2 commercials ago. because I was inspired by something I saw, and that's where my head's at right now. So
Yeah.
sorry I wasn't paying attention to whatever you were just watching, but it's funny how that works that way though.
It's 100%. So listen, if y'all don't have Publix in your area, do me a favor. Go on YouTube or Google Publix grocery store commercials. Those dang commercials get me every time. They're the sappiest, sweetest, like heartfelt, pull at your heartstrings Hallmark commercials. Every single one of them. So much so that they've done such a good job with them. The moment it comes on, Kenny and I will be like, that's a Publix commercial. And then at the end, you're like,
and especially the closer you get to the holidays, that's when I know is like, damn, Publix did it again.
they are brilliant. Like, you want to talk about tug on your heartstrings. Publix, see, Alicia, she even says Publix gets me every time. You look at those commercials, guys. I'm telling you, they're powerful. Okay, so finding your inspiration. This is the next step once you are consciously aware that it's a scientific process and you got to train your brain, man. It's like riding a bike, right? Marketing is like riding a bike. Same with farming. You have to give farming in regards to a geographical farm. You have to give social media time. This is a long game. This is not a short game. It's not just let me post it and everyone's going to start ringing my phone. No. When you send out mailers, they tell you not to start to expect anything until 3 to 6 months and to really not to expect anything until 12 months in. It's the same concept with social media. So finding your inspiration, I look at what's going on in my life. There's usually what I'll do is on the weekend, I built a habit within myself to look at what I have going on my calendar professionally in the next week and personally. And then that gives me an idea of what I can post when and where. And it's just something that I have chosen to help train my habit for. Also, what interests you? Some posts are a little impromptu because I had nothing to post that day. But then like I popped up and went out and was at Publix and bought a plant. So I posted about the new plant I got. And then I'll say like, don't tell Kenny, because in all honesty, when I do these posts, it usually takes him like 2 to 4 weeks to see that I did it. So it's a game for me to see how long it takes him to find out what I posted on social media. What's trending? So if you're really big on Instagram and you want to use Reels, if you start saving audio, here's a nice little hack for you. So you can create a saved folder in Instagram of just audio you want to use. Not all audio you can save. Some of it I've noticed there's like limitations to it. But once it's saved in that folder and you like it, go through and look at all those different audios and see which one has an arrow. It'll be like a scriggly little arrow that's like pointing up to like a corner. And that means that is trending right now. That audio is trending. So hop on that bandwagon of whatever that audio is, because that means that the algorithm is pushing that out more at that particular moment, and it'll just ride the wave. What's going on or what's trending in real life too. And I like to say this with a grain of caution, and this falls also within like the best practices of social media. We saw a lot of this during COVID, which granted, we all had some type of, grief and things going on in that moment because our life just like that switched overnight, right? We all had to stay home. Be mindful of politics. Be mindful of things that are divisive and polarizing. You can create a brand that kind of pushes that boundary and be successful at it. There's quite a few powerful people out there that have an eloquent way of doing it and not getting in trouble, but you have to be careful to stay within that line. I never post anything political for the most part. Every once in a while, I might post something as a educational format, but it's a rarity. And just remember, when you're finding your inspiration, you want to escape it. Remember, those were all of the funny little genres. Escape it. I can't believe I came up with that. That was a hard one. All right. Another homework before we keep moving along, and we're almost through this, guys. We're getting there. What is a content creation idea you have? Now that you told me things that you gravitate towards, now that I gave you some insight, write in the comments if there's something that you have a content creation idea, whether it's for you or not. Maybe there's an idea that you can just put in the comments that will help someone else. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that vibes and resonates with you, but maybe it's just a great idea. We're here to collaborate. That's what your creative hustle is all about. It is a collaboration of real estate professionals to help each other. So let's see what y'all have, if you have any. Okay. And once you've done that, here is your homework, and then we'll finish up on the last couple of sections, is I want you to go ahead and scan this QR code now. This is how you're going to get your free bonus. If you scan this, there's a couple questions to ask that it will ask you. It really genuinely helps me be able to learn what I need to work on more, what you loved, what you received. So when I create more learning sessions, I know how. A video of my dog snoring. Oh my gosh, I love that. Send me that video. It's a good one. So please scan this QR code to get your free bonus, answer the questions, and the download will be yours. I'm going to leave this up here for a second for anyone that still needs it. And if you can't get to this right this minute, just let me know and we'll put it out there. This one, Lisa says, I've seen top producers tank their business by posting political divisive content on their social media. Be careful or just don't do it. 100% I agree. We've seen celebrities do it. You just have to be mindful. You definitely have to be mindful. All right, guys. Well, yeah. 100%. Thanks for the feedback. I'm going to move on to the next slide. If anyone needs this at the end, let me know. We can come back to it. And our last letter is T. I feel like Sesame Street. Tune into your social media best practices. So what do we do with this? Organize your content and track what is working and what is not. Tracking is everything. Find authenticity. We've talked about this a few times throughout this session. Always add value to what you're doing and trust your process. Lean in and trust it. You're not going to nail it every single post. I don't nail it every single post, but you know what? I know that I'm looking at this as a scientific method in the sense that it's an experiment, and sometimes my hypothesis will be right and sometimes it won't, and that's okay. But it's all really good information. In our household, we have an acronym, as you can tell, we like acronyms, called FAIL, which really means first attempt in learning. So we use that with our son when he was growing up, just to kind of keep him motivated. And if he felt bummed out about something, we'd be like, it's okay. You didn't fail. It's just a first attempt in learning. And sometimes we need a couple tries, right? So consistency is key when it comes to monitoring your social media and adapting. And here are some other reminders that I really like to use in regards to succeeding. It's creating that strategy like we talked about. Timing is everything. And this is what I mean by timing. Pay attention to how many times you post per day. When you post multiple times per day, at least in my algorithm, and I say at least in my algorithm because everybody's is different, that one post that I posted earlier in the day may begin to lose traction because I chose to post later on in the day as well. So then the algorithm's like, okay, which one do I juggle? Which one do I juggle? I wholeheartedly can tell you what posts will ride out in my algorithm. And what I mean by ride out, I mean will live in the feed for over a week. I know it within an hour of posting it. I say that one's going to be slow to grow, but it's going to be there a long time. I also know what post, because I don't post on the weekends very often. And if I do, it's more of an emotional post. But when there is a post and you can tell that I posted it on the weekend, I know wholeheartedly for a fact when it's the strategy post that it will ride out the entire week and into the next weekend. And so I do it intentionally because most people are out living their lives on Saturday. Sunday nights, people start to come back to their phones because, they're getting ready for the week, getting started, situated. Even us as real estate agents, even if we work on weekends, right? We're usually, when we're done showing clients or something, the bulk of us, when we can, want to spend that time with our families, right? We're doing something because a lot of our other friends might be off on from work on the weekends. So I can tell you what and how a post is going to perform. Every once in a while, I get surprised. But I have it down to a science. Think before you post. We talked about this. Think before you post. I want you to allow yourself to experiment and be vulnerable and do things that are outside of your box to kind of push the envelope. But I also want you to be cognizant of mismanners, so to speak, right? Like that old school book of just like, what is appropriate for this platform in regards to how it will perform, what can be divisive, what can be limiting, things like that. So just think, how is it going to impact your overall goal and objective? Engage with your audience. I can't tell you how many people I know that are really powerful in social media, and they're also real estate professionals, and they don't interact with their audience. Yeah. I'm going to give you another secret, my secret sauce. Sorry, I'm giving so much secret sauces away. I had to rub my face because it's just a pet peeve of mine. I have a system to how I engage with my audience. My system is deliberate and on purpose because I have learned how my algorithm works. And I'm not going to dive too much into it, but I will at least leave you with this nugget. When you engage with your audience and you either heart, like, comment, or just comment on someone's comment on your post. So if you comment, reply to the comment on your post. Yeah, sorry, that got a tongue twister there. It bumps you back up in the feed. I'm going to let that one sink in. When you comment or react to a comment on your post, it bumps it back up into the feed.
Facebook wants you to do that too. Once you switch over to that creator account,
yeah,
it'll remind you like, hey, you haven't responded to comments.
Yeah, yelled at me today. It's like, you have 4 whatever comments. And I'm like, I know, genius. I've got a system. The algorithm doesn't like my system, but it's fine. So that's powerful, guys. That's powerful. Start playing around with that. Start seeing how it impacts your post and track it. Also, think ahead for posts, like we talked about. Like I scheduled, this week was unique because I knew the video did so well for our engagement and reached so many people that once my normal algorithm went back, I was going to have a little decline. So far for the week, I've only reached like 30 something thousand accounts, which is fine, right? It was a good measuring item for me. But I just want you to think ahead. So I had 3 posts scheduled out this week with that, and pay attention to how your posts perform when you schedule them versus when you post them, and always post them organically. Always post them organically because the algorithm knows when it's not organic. Like for me, and I find this really interesting, is Kristen Long can do it really well. Ramsey Stewart can do it. And I think maybe even you, Heather. I cannot share something from my Facebook professional business page to my digital creator page. It gets 0 traction. 0. It's just how my personal algorithms worked. Some people do very, very well with it. Rob Levy does very, very well with it. When he shares from his business page to his personal page, it performs well. Mine does not. So I don't really do it that often. Okay, finding your groove. This is also super, super important. Have curiosity and experiment. We talked about that. You're not going to win at every single post, and that's totally okay. Incorporate your personality. I can't tell you how many times people are like, you guys are really like you are on social media, aren't you? And I'm like, yeah, we are. Like Kenny and I, it's so bad. Not bad. I think it's hilarious. So I've even started like secretly recording like our antics, because I call my husband tech support. That's his nickname. If you see him say, hey, tech support, I bet you he'll laugh. Because he's an engineer by trade, right? So his brain is completely wired different than mine. So every time I come up with something, his response is a question, because that's just how he processes. I'm like, okay, tech support. Like, and we do this, like an entire conversation will be me stating something, then he follows up with a question. And then it's just like, crumble cookies. I posted a video about, I just wanted girl math. They were BOGO crumble cookies. I'm like, I don't even get upset about it. It's real, pure, genuine entertainment for our household. And what you see is what you get with us. So we are exactly who we are on social media, other than I'm maybe not as like social in large groups in real life as I am in social media. That's the only difference. And what attracts your engagement? It's really, really important that you pay attention to this, because what you want your engagement to be attracted to, it may not be what you need to do. So you have to separate the two, right? It's kind of like dating. Like, you want to date that person, but that person might not be good for your personality. So you should date this person over here. That's my analogy on that. And then 3 of my top tips for tracking: create a spreadsheet. If you have a Google Drive, if you use Excel, whatever it is, even if it's just a Word doc or like something to just take a screenshot of the story before it disappears, or the post or whatever. So you see those numbers of how that post did, and then compare it to something else. When you're building out your social media campaigns, just always, always track. Switch your accounts to have insights. So I'm not going to dive into this too much. There's a lot of videos and information on social media about doing it, especially on Facebook. So Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, you really should be professional mode for all of them, right? So switch your account to a digital creator on Facebook, because that's going to give you insights. Then there'll be an option within your settings to turn on pro mode, and which is basically professional mode. And that will give you an opportunity to work towards monetization. So once you're a digital creator, and then once you have pro mode on, Facebook will give you an opportunity, once they see that people are engaging on your profile more, to start making money. Now, there are people out there that they have 12,000 followers on Facebook. I only have like 46 to 4,700 followers. They're not making money off of their Facebook. I am. And here's why. It's not about the quantity of followers, because you can have 12,000 followers and only get 10 reactions, if even that. It's about the quality of the engagement. So Facebook has invited me twice to things. Facebook, well, 3 times, I guess, if you count it. First, I was a Facebook Power admin, which they kind of dismantled that program. And that's just because Heather and I have created highly engageable groups. Like, our traction, our numbers are 9 times out of 10 always in the green. It's insane. And then they invited me to monetize off of my Facebook once I transitioned over to a digital creator. Well, they also invited me to be a digital creator when they first launched it, but I don't know if they're doing that anymore. I think it's kind of like
that stars or
I think that was just to get like the program up. And then they now have a special group for people who have highly engaged professional mode accounts, where I'm in a special Facebook group to learn from people who are making way more money than I am on Facebook. So there's opportunities for growth to learn and innovate along with it. So make sure you have switched your account at some point soon. And make sure you assess your platforms all the time. If it's quarterly, monthly, weekly, whatever it means to you, it's probably going to be a little more often once you get going, until you've got it a flow and everything. I wish we could have a meta planner on our personal pages like business. I use MetaSuite for a lot of stuff, Chris. Just to let you know, MetaSuite is really powerful, especially because if you pay attention to my accounts, I post on Instagram, and my Instagram feeds to my Facebook business page. Once in a blue moon, Kenny may go in there, or I may go in there and post directly to my Facebook business page. But a lot of the time, it is just pulled over from Instagram, because I don't have the patience to do both. And most of my business comes from my personal page anyways. All right. So there's that. I also wanted to let you guys know, before we have questions and answers, if you want to scan this, please do. This is just a sign up form for you to sign up for when I launch the intensive learning module course for this. I'm not sure how much I'm going to charge yet. I have a lot of modules to build out, so it'll probably be in the next 60 days. But this is at least to get notification when it's available for purchase. And I hope you guys purchase it. If not, thanks for coming. All right. we have any questions, concerns, thoughts, comments, put it in your comments. What about you, Heather? What'd you learn?
That's good. That's good stuff. I need to do more, but I don't. I think on my business page, like I'm very intentional on my business page accounts.
Yeah.
Mostly Instagram, whatever happens on Facebook happens on Facebook. But I do so my stuff, which is where most of the followers are, is all personal. Like, and
Yeah.
I've never put thought into anything. For me, it's always been the memories and almost like my Instagram.
Like your scrapbook. Yeah.
It's basically my photo album that's right there. You know, my dogs have their own account. My Jeep and side by side has its own account, and I have mine, but I've always used it. Never like I don't, you'll see like there's no hashtags. There's like, I don't want to be found. Like it's just me. So I'm trying to get better. I do put thought into the business, although there's no followers on that side. And, you know, I mean, just algorithm, whatever, you know, Facebook wants you to pay to play to even be seen. But a lot of the reels, when I do go schedule those through Meta, I will add me as a collaborator. So then it will
Smart.
post to both. And I do see traction for those reels. Because when I'm in Meta, it'll ask, do you want, you know, add a collaborator? Or I'll do that if I'm just uploading it organically, and I'll just add myself. That way it's at least in both places. But that's the extent of my business stuff, I guess, on my personal. And I don't know, like I have a lot of followers, and I'm sure if they don't like Jeeps, dogs, or mud, they probably won't like my feed, but
Right.
it is what it is. That's, you know, I just use them for different things. So
Someone's asking a question. I ran other Facebook pages. Would it benefit me to get a creator account? So here's a question. Just because you're running other people's accounts, do you ever want to have an account where maybe you are a trainer or a teacher or an educator or a way to pull in business to get more accounts? So I think if your answer is yes, there's a possibility in the future, definitely switch over your account for sure. Because
I don't really notice. The only difference I know is money going into my account, not a lot. Two is the reminders.
yeah, the insights, man, that's powerful.
And the insights. But other than that, I don't know that there's any difference visually.
You can schedule. So the other difference too is you can schedule. So this week I scheduled 3 posts onto my social media because 2 of them happened actually last week. Because I also feel that like not, it used to be like you had to do it in the moment, right? And not so much anymore. And sometimes for safety purposes or just in general because of life, not everything that happens is happening right then and there in that particular day. So you remember back in the day when people would be like, "Oh my gosh, you were doing this today and you didn't invite me." You can't do
I've
that
gotten
now.
in trouble from my daughter because she didn't get invited to some party because her friends saw that I had posted and it was a day late. So they thought we were out. So she wasn't invited. And she still has issues with anytime I post something with her in it. And there was just something
Like
even
trauma,
last
because
week.
back then that was the thing, right? That was like our measure for like our I can't talk, social acceptance. And now it's not. I mean, listen, I have friends that don't even talk about their vacations till they get home and they're done, you know? So it's okay. It's okay to set up your social media how you want to set it up. And for me, because I have such a huge habit now of knowing when to post and what to post, and I'm constantly looking for content, that some days I get like 5 pieces of content in one day and I can't post them all out in the same day back to back to back because that will genuinely hurt my algorithm. So I have to schedule it strategically in order to keep that flow and that traction going.
And I do that on my business, and there is a rhyme or reason. Like I'll do a carousel, I'll do a reel, I'll do this, and I batch videos and keep them on my phone and then do whatever and schedule all those out. But so at least on the business, I don't schedule anything on my personal. It's I could post 3 times today, and like next weekend I'm going to Ponies in the Smokies or Smoky something like that pits. I think I've never been, where Mustangs take over Pigeon Forge, and I go to Jeep Invasion and I love it. So we're going to stay over there and check out what that's like. So I'll be posting a lot, but then I might not post for a few days, or I don't know.
But here's an experiment for you, Heather. What if you fought that urge to post and strategized all of those events in the next 2 weeks? I'd be curious for you to run that experiment. Like if you strategize how to post them out, instead of saying, all right, well, maybe I'll post a lot and whatever, be like, okay, I think I'm going to hold on to this for the next day and the next day, and just kind of drag that process out a little longer. I'd be really curious to see how your engagement rides out then, because it'll be like if we go to Disney back to back to back as an example, and I'm posting a couple of days worth of Disney trips, or like when we took the family cruise with our family in Trinidad, it was great to see how the structure of my post for each day categorized it, and the algorithm knew where to place me. And so then it put me in front of more people. So it's a thought.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go look at the insights. When I did do that for this memorial ride we did for Sheriff, and I did reels because there was like 3,000 people showed up. So you have 1,500 motorcycles, and then you have 100 Mustangs. There was 500 Jeeps. So I did reels, and I had to like speed it up like ×5. So that looked funny. But I did reels for each kind of category, and then I had a bunch of photos and just like the overall video. Now I'm going to go look at the insights because I posted those all separate.
Yeah, and conferences too. Like I'm sure some of y'all are getting ready to do like brand conferences or real estate conferences this year. Think about how, if you can strategically place those posts out and have it even ride out after you've already left the conference. I'd be curious to see the type of traction you get.
Yeah, and even those, I've been telling myself to be in the moment. So I stopped taking pictures. But now, after my father-in-law passed and I saw all of his albums that we got to see of all these awesome memories of bike weeks and all this kind of stuff, I'm like, I need to bring the phone back and into whatever, because there were so many times like, oh, I remember it's going to be up here. But then seeing these photos, I'm like, oh my gosh, no. Yeah. Photos coming back out. I'm going to be the idiot with the camera now.
No, 100%. I agree. So it'll be interesting to see what you guys come up with. Thank you all so much for your time. Thank you for being the first to receive this class and allowing me to share all of the wonderful things I've been working on. And Heather has been building out her own learning modules as well. And just thanks for allowing us to continually give you all value.
Awesome. Thank you guys. And we will see you in a couple weeks.
We've got Michelle on niche.
Yeah.
Michelle is going to be talking super niches, dive in, how to double down. Her niche is probate. Listen, having gone through probate myself, I will never do a probate house. I will always refer it out. And she is the local person I would give it to. So tune in for that. She'll teach you how to be super niche.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.